So chances are you've probably beaten the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time so much, you've lost count. So much so that you probably know a lot of tricks and secrets which defy the way you're supposed to play this Nintendo 64 classic. And one of the more interesting features that keeps us coming back for more is the flexibility of beating the dungeons and temples. There is a clear order in which temples you need to beat to progress the game smoothly, but there's no stopping the player from simply grabbing the temple's item, leaving midway, and beating the next temple which requires that item. That's why many players go back to Ocarina of Time and change up the order in which they acquire each medallion, from beating the Fire Temple before setting foot into the Forest Temple, or jumping through hoops just to beat the Spirit Temple as early as possible. However, there's usually an item limitation that everyone agrees you need a specific item to beat that temple, with the biggest example being you need the Fairy Bow from the Forest Temple to beat the Water Temple. A lot of people, including myself, believe this to be true, but we were wrong. Oh yeah, this is no joke, but it is possible to beat the Water Temple without entering the Forest Temple, and I mean as soon as you pull the Master Sword and obtain the hookshot, which you'll need regardless. Now, in order to pull this off, you need two specific items, Din's Fire and Furori's Wind. You'll ideally want to get Din's Fire before you head to the Temple of Time and pull the Master Sword, otherwise you'll have to beat the Forest Temple so you can gain access to go back in time, which defeats the purpose of this video. It would help to have Furori's Wind before pulling the Master Sword, but if you missed it as Child Link, you'll have the opportunity to grab it as Adult Link when you make your way to the Ice Cavern. So, assuming you've pulled the Master Sword, got the hookshot, and got the Iron Boots and Zora Tunic from Zora's Domain, this demonstration starts as soon as you enter the Water Temple. Once you're inside and exit the body of water, the first thing you want to do is cast Furori's Wind. You'll see why you'll need this later. Once you've done that, start the Water Temple normally by heading for the room where Princess Ruto is. Let her blab about marriage and standing her up, yada yada yada. Once she's done yapping, head to the top of this room and use Zelda's Lullaby to lower the water level. Go ahead and grab the dungeon map while you're here if you'd like. Now this is the point where things will be different to how you'd normally progress this temple. Firstly, this part is optional, but if you time and perform a side jump just right, you can perform a jump attack and land here, which gives you early access to a small key. If you miss this jump, don't worry too much, there will be a chance to get this key later. So once you've dropped back down from whence you came, you'll notice the middle torch is lit with two unlit torches and a sealed door. Normally, you'd use the fairy bow to shoot a flame arrow at the unlit torches to open the door, but we don't have the fairy bow here. This is where you'd use Din's Fire for the first time, as this will light the torches no problem. Enter this room and defeat the shell blades so that a chest with a small key will appear. Next, make your way to the main area of the temple and head for the west room. Ignore this locked door that grants access to the second water level panel. There is a way later to enter this room without using a small key. For now, make your way to the platform with the big block and proceed as normal through this path that leads to the swirling water room with the time switch puzzle. Take out or completely dodge the shell blades and grab another small key. Now we need to raise the water level without going through that locked door, so use Furori's Wind to return to the entrance of the temple. From here on out, you don't need to use Furori's Wind again, but for ease of access throughout the temple, you can cast another one if you'd like. Now from the entrance, jump down to the middle section of the tower. Make your way to the other side and you'll come across another set of torches. Use Din's Fire to unlock the door and go through it. Next, jump down to the water level panel and play Zelda's Lullaby to raise the water level. Then use the Iron Boots to sink to the room with two gates and a switch. Hit the switch and defeat the shell blades and spikes that drop down to unlock a gate which leads to yet another small key. Now if you didn't get the very first small key earlier, now is the time to go grab it. Once you do, you should have 4 small keys at your disposal, which is the amount we need to beat this temple. Now, here comes the tricky part. You'll need to get back to the top level of the temple. You could use Furori's Wind again, but you can save it for a later part of the temple by using this trick. Do you see the hookshot panels dotted around the main area? From the middle section, if you stand around here while directly facing the platform above, you should be able to aim the hookshot at the panel above. This is a very tricky shot, but if you aim well enough and at the right angle, your hookshot should latch on and pull you up. But to land on the platform, you'll need to immediately perform a jump attack so that you don't drop back down. Now that you're at the top level of the temple, you'll need to get up to the higher ledge, which has the third water raising panel. During a normal playthrough, you'd have to use a small key on the middle level and use the water lift to reach the panel. But we don't need to do that here. If you position yourself facing the ledge and with a well-timed rolling jump, move as far left of the ledge as possible, Link should be able to grab the ledge and pull himself up. As tempting as it is, try not to jump to the right, as Link will do this for some reason. Now that you've climbed your way up to this ledge, you can raise the water level back to the way it was when you first entered the temple. With all of that done, you are now prepared to get the long shot and beat the water temple. Once you're ready, head for the locked door, which is now accessible thanks to the floating platform, and use your first small key. Clear this room and use the second small key to enter the room full of Tektites. Get to the top of here and enter the massive room where the mini-boss fight with Dark Link awaits. Once you knock in for 6, you reward yourself with the long shot. Now with the long shot in hand, you'll want to head back to the entrance. Unfortunately, you cannot progress further through the next room as the exit is blocked by an ice switch which requires the fairy bow. The only thing you can do here is destroy the Golden Skull Tula if you really want it. Either way, make your way back to the entrance by backtracking or using Ferrari's Wind. Now, since you're left with 2 small keys, it's just a simple case of proceeding as normal to get the boss key. Just don't get bullied by the Tektites like what happened here. Could you cut Link some slack here? So grab the boss key, then make your way to the boss room where you'll defeat Morpha, awaken the Sage of Water, and receive the Water Medallion. And that's how you beat the Water Temple without setting foot in either the Forest or Fire Temple. Now this is where I would wrap up the video and thank you for watching, but what about the 3DS version? Yeah, with Ocarina of Time 3D pretty much being the same as the N64 version gameplay wise, surely you'd be able to pull off the same strategy, right? Well, unfortunately not. With the 3DS version of the Water Temple, Nintendo adjusted the temple's design so that the ledge that leads to the highest water level panel couldn't be reached by simply jumping towards it. Getting up that ledge was key to bypassing the fairy bow requirement, but with that gone, is there any hope of beating the Water Temple before the Forest Temple? Well, you're in luck, because there is a workaround thanks to a unique glitch, and once you pull it off, you'll feel proud of yourself. So with the 3DS version, the method is very similar to the N64 version, but with a few extra steps. Firstly, before you head to the room where Ruto lurks, you want to head east at the top level towards the puzzle, which requires you to pull and push the block, which hides a small key. Pull the block out until it's locked in place, then head back out. Now head for the room where Ruto is and pretty much follow the steps of the N64 version until you get to the part where you've acquired 4 small keys. Now, since we can't grab the ledge where the highest water level panel is, we'll need a 5th small key, and that's where the block puzzle comes in. With the water level risen halfway, we want to head towards the south side of the middle section with a path with a closed gate and an ice switch submerged in water. Typically, you'd use the fairy bow to shoot the ice switch and quickly use a long shot to get across before the gate closes, but since we don't have either, we'll have to get past this gate by force, and that's where things get a little tricky. Make your way across and head towards the gate. Now you want to position yourself as far right as possible while facing the gate and get out your hookshot. Do a couple of L target jumps with the hookshot out, and Link's arm should clip through the gate enough to shoot the wall near the hookshot panel. With a couple of carefully aimed shots, you'll finally hit the hookshot panel, clip through the gate, and end up on the other side. From here, you can push the block out of the way to reach that all-important 5th key, which will put us back on track to beating the Water Temple. Just a side note, but this method does not work on the N64 version. While Link's arm does clip through the gate, the hookshot simply does not shoot through it. Anyway, with this 5th key, we can use it to reach the highest water level panel as the game intended, and from here on out, it's pretty much following the same process as the N64 version. Use the small keys to get to Dark Link, put Dark Link in his place, grab that long shot, make your way back to the entrance, go and get the boss key, get up this bloody steep corridor, give Morpha what for, and receive that water medallion from Ruto. So there you have it. You've seen firsthand that it's possible to beat the Water Temple without the fairy bow, both on the N64 and 3DS. And since you can do this from the moment you pull the Master Sword, it just gives more replay value to this Zelda classic. It's no doubt a lot simpler to pull off on the N64 version, But whether you knew about this or not, it still amazes me that I'm still learning new things about a video game I thought I knew everything about. But with every subsequent playthrough, Ocarina of Time still finds ways to impress me, and that's what makes this game legendary. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.